Love in movies presents itself as long-lasting relationships, extravagant declarations of love, and happy ever afters. Growing up, everyone wants to find the one, someone who will get us just right, someone who will arrive and save us. But then we actually grow up and the adult world slaps us on the face. As a hopeless romantic who grew up reading romance novels and watching every rom-com to ever exist, I've always fantasized with the perfect partner, the perfect meet cute, the perfect everything. But somehow, in some type of way, when the opportunity of starting a relationship came, I've always felt uneasy, terrified even. Love is portrayed to be so easy in movies, so if I struggle with it, there must be something wrong with me, right? Right? There are a lot of ways of experiencing love, depending on how we grow up and who takes care of us. In a perfect world, your caregivers gave you the perfect amount of affection or attention for you to experience the best of love. The harsh reality is that, for most of us, we grew up in dysfunctional family where a lot of times our needs were met. This makes our perspective of love shape in a form of what we were wrongly taught. Love is now shown to us through trauma, which end up developing in a person as an avoidant trait or an anxious one. For me, dear listener, is the latter. Love and anxiety aren't supposed to coexist, right? Like, love is supposed to be this calm and soothing thing that makes us feel better. It's not supposed to feel like a constant roller coaster, right? I grew up in a difficult family situation. It was not actually my family's fault, but an adult figure that was close to our family. For this person, I was too responsible, I was too loud, I was too much all the time. I was compared to my siblings constantly, and the only times I was rewarded, it was when I was the quiet little girl that they wanted me to be. So it created this condition that I will only know love from them as long as I was this perfect girl that never overshined my siblings. And what started with an adult figure not knowing how to properly take care of me, developing me into something else. I learned that love will only come to me if I satisfied all the conditions. It created this barrier in me of what I learned love was and what love was actually like. But most importantly, it created fear. Trauma can make you act in different ways, but as a person with an anxious attachment style, it makes me feel like I'm on a roller coaster every day. Through an anxious lens, everything is all over the place, all the damn time. He didn't text today? It must be my fault. I probably said something wrong. I'm just starting this relationship. I'll let them set the pace first. I don't want to be too clingy, or needy, or too much. We feel like we can sense something from just the change of tone. We're so afraid to be right that we don't even dare to put it into words and actually communicate it to that person. Because if they leave us, it's our fault. We didn't meet the conditions. We did something wrong. But if they stayed with us, how long would it be before they notice something they don't like? It feels lonely and miserable. It feels like I'm trapped on a cage, suffocating. It is difficult not to hate the people that made you like this. After all, they made you look at love in this dysfunctional way because they didn't get their needs met when they were young. They didn't know how to deal with it after. I'm carrying their trauma. Shouldn't be fair, right? But after all these years of hurting, of hating myself and others, I realized that forgiving is a way of letting grief go and letting the past in the past. And it's not easy and it hurts, but I found no other way of just moving on. But even if my trauma, it's not my fault. It is my responsibility to get better, to feel better. And knowing that the path to healing is my own to discover, it's both freeing and terrifying. When I realized that I wasn't the only one, When I understood that there were people out there that could relate to my story, my whole perspective changed. Suddenly, it was not my fault that I was like this. They were just wounds from childhood that were still bleeding. It was not my fault being like this, but it was my responsibility to get better. In the past, I will react to any situation that I will come across. Now, I just sit and patiently observe. The most important thing is that I'm forgiving with myself. Communicating with your partner, with your friends. Open communication is just the best thing someone with an anxious attachment style can give themselves. It's not easy at all. It takes practice, like anything in this life. When I find myself openly communicating with my partner without a second thought, or when something that used to trigger me, it's not a worry anymore, I get this moment of happiness that is not comparable with anything else. It feels like I'm moving towards something. It feels like change, like breathing again. Of course there are bad days. Of course there will be times where my wounds are way too big to explain. Of course I haven't fully recovered yet. But little by little, love is not this struggle I have to face, but a journey I am able to take. After all, love comes and stays under no conditions.